section. But I'm really looking forward to an Estes.
Cameraman thinks it's
Either Estes or Rafaela. Somebody shouting behind the English panel. They're also rooting for an Estes here from Aurora.
Jella.
And Angela would suffice with the Suyo in the early game. Any other surprises could come out from ReneJ?
Choose my own path.
Arlet.
not
Okay.
super surprising. All right, that's not bad.
We got our hopes up.
Yeah. It should be an XP Arlet.
I'm not mad.
Arlot's win rate. We were talking about Arlot's win rate, right, a few days ago. I feel like it's not that high right now, especially with these matchups.
Yeah, 50-50 if it's going to fall into the hands of Edward.
I'm not a huge fan of Aurora's draft right now. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I get the idea. This might work against the Fanny, but look at the meat shields.
Even their mage is a meat shield.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Arlot versus Hylos usually doesn't fare well for an Arlot, so this feels like Aurora picking up a lineup that might actually be able to capitalize on mistakes by Falcons AP Bren in objective team fights.
Yeah, I think so far the panel does agree. It is a very FCAP heavy lineup. So let's see if Naisu and Ingan is going to agree with that as they bring us into the action for game number 3.
Meat shields, ice shields, all types of shields, and tankiness.
Welcome
Is
to
what's going to have to
Mobile
be dealt with
Legends.
here. Again, we'll see if RORA has the answer to this lineup, especially that Fanny. Can they shut it down? Can they keep Kyle Teasy from building the momentum? Welcome back to the English desk here. I'm Naisu, joined with Ingan. Ingan, how are we feeling as we get a look at both these junglers here?
You know, again, Kyle TZ, the first time Kyle TZ used up the Fanny, they won, but he didn't have a huge game. I believe it was 1-0 and the last time he did dominate. So let's see, because so far, you know, if you're Kyle TZ with the Fanny, you have to prove that it's worth it to ban out or to pick Fanny when you're Falcons AP Bren. That's why the panel was saying that when you're going up against Falcons AP Bren, you don't really think about the Fanny when it comes to Kyle TZ. Although he's capable, he has to prove it this time that it deserves to be respected, deserves to be banned out.
I would say for a lot of teams, when they're thinking about the junglers in the current meta that come up, Fanny is very niche to specific junglers. Yes, Kyle Teasy is one of them, but for the most part, you know, you've seen so much of Alpha, you've seen so much of Ling and the Suyos and
Julian
occasionally and Nolan's, right? And that's all because the Fanny, obviously you have to have a pretty high skill ceiling on it, but also you have to be pretty confident that you can also rely on your team to help you out when that game when the game transitions to, all right, we got to protect the purple buff almost at all costs for a Fanny. And so for Kyle Teasy, knowing that, and the rest of the team, that's why they drafted what they did. I mean, they have a ton of utility with this, especially the Jushin alone. Like, we have seen how valuable this hero can be and how much it can cause havoc on the lineups that are like this from RORA.
Yeah.
So this first turtle, they can't even contest it. Look how fast it just goes in the hands of FCAP.
Yeah, and at the same time, Juicin, in terms of zoning, is there, and there's literally no hard lockdown when it comes to containing Kyle TZ. I mean, you have the final slash, and if you paired it up with the Frigid Glacier, that's assuming you catch Kyle TZ. So it's really going to be a hard thing for Aurora right now.
And this is also where part of this equation comes in for Edward. Like we saw from the previous game where he was very proactive. You know, he's going to have to do essentially the same thing here. Now, this would change a little bit because ReneJ is on that Gatakacha, and we usually, I don't know, where you feel like you'll like to see him better. You know, do you like the Gatakacha more so in the roam or the XP lane? But in the hands of ReneJ, this should allow him to be that, you know, more Hitman-esque roam that he needs to be. Plus, again, Revitalize is very useful here, and that's why Flap took it up as well.
Oh. Okay, Kyle TZ goes in this time. Edward's going to miss that final slash. They want to burst down Edward here as Flap TZ just soaking up the damage coming in from Aurora. So, okay, those are the things that Kyle TZ eventually needs to secure. Those instantaneous steel cables, then Cutthroat, eventually going to burst down anyone there. And if Falcons AP Bren continues to find these kinds of kills for Kyle TZ, man, it's just going to give Super Marco a huge advantage, because now they don't have to think about Marco. They have to think about Kyle TZ first, and eventually we all know the Clint when it gets to the later games. Man, it's going to hurt as hell.
It can, and that's the thing. So Kyle TZ, if he can get kills, it's either way. Like that statement can be for either of the junglers, whether it's Demon Kai or Kyle TZ.
Yeah.
Because we've seen Asuyo do pretty much the same thing to an extent where once that snowball gets going, it's really hard to stop. And so this is relatively a pretty low-key early game. There's nothing much happening except for these objectives being focused. You know, little fights for control here. And this is where FCAP also has some of that advantage because of this Jushin pick and that Lantern Flare. So now the level 4 is coming to play.
A catch onto Edward. Crimson Beacon going to be casted to walk away. Here comes the pull from ReneJ. And now a good zone coming in from Aurora. This time they have 5 members. Doming is also here. AOG going to connect onto Flap TZ. That was a beautiful jump, but here comes the Revitalize coming in from Flap. Now, Suyo Demon Kai is going to get the turtle. No response from Falcons AP Bren. And that's a 1-for-1 turtle take for Falcons and for Aurora.
Very interesting the way they play that too. You saw Kyle TZ. Like he was waiting there. He put some pressure on this tier 1. He's going to go, gets it finally, so that's the trade.
Oh, the steel cables.
Oh.
Edward, though. Okay, goes out. Gonna be
Edward.
able to escape. That's Edward, you know, Legend Zero. It's not embarrassing if you don't pull off a kill onto Edward, because, I mean, veterancy, accolades, he's got it all. Huge final slash also for Edward to focus on the minions, but fortunately for Kyle, he still was able to bring down the bottom lane turret. So technically, Edward didn't miss that final slash. He was really aiming for the minions.
Yeah, he was clearing it out, trying to save the turret. But that's what I was saying. You know, for FCAP, they traded that turtle knowing farewell because Kyle TZ waited down there. And then it ends up getting a turret. So that's fine. They can go ahead and now work with this mid lane.
And beautiful catch plus chain CC. Crimson Beacon View has to walk away. AOG onto the back line. Might be able to bring down View. He's going to escape the spear of destruction. But still, View's going to fall down. First blood will go to Aurora. Now working on the purple buff. Lapteezy has a glorious pathway as Edward works on the back line. Supermarket, though, being able to deal out the damage. Lapteezy just trying to zone out the members. Another catch coming in from Edward. Here's the Revitalize, though, over to the Earth Shatter. And they're going to bring down Lapteezy.
There's some good fighting from RORA, man. You know, if you really tried, he sidestepped, dodged the arrow. The AOG came in, but unfortunately wasn't able to get to the safety of the turret in time. And all that ended up in a collapse, too, you know, allowing RORA to get to this point where now they've got a little bit of a lead. It wasn't anything too crazy because FCAP was actually building that on the macro level. And so, you know, it's them trying to keep things from getting too out of control. Last turtle is up now, and either team can take this. And they also have a decision. Do they want to go in with this 5v5? Edward does jump in, has a final slash still ready and locked and loaded.
Okay, Edward's going to miss, as well as AOG coming in from ReneJ plus the Frigid Glacier. Here comes the glorious pathway. Kyle TZ going in with the steel cables. They're going to bring down ReneJ. Kyle TZ just continuing to dish out the damage as Ovi falls down and Phil as well. Doming on the hunt plus Demon Kai. They're going to bring down Lapteezy. And Aurora, just for the price of the Hitman, are going to take down 3 plus the final turtle.
Oh man, what a fight this game number 3 is bringing us so far. Still going to be working on this turtle, but they'll go ahead and call it off. Wait for this to come up. Kyle TZ's now here too. And you're seeing, you know, this is where, when you look at RORA's lineup, the fact that they have some of those utility options where, yeah, even if Edward doesn't get the final slash he's looking for, if they're fighting around objectives, they have great options, whether that's an Avatar of the Guardian from ReneJ, or they just lock down with a Frigid Glacier. Conceal's going to be used, fighting for it. Demon Kite gets the turtle.
Oh, and another catch onto Flap. Paired up with the Frigid Glacier. It was just too much crowd control as Owen has to flicker away, cast the Primal Wrath. Now the chase is on. 5 members after the Master. And Demon Kite's going to bring down Ogwin.
Oh man, RORA really making the adjustments. The calls are looking really good too. The way they secured that turtle very quickly, and then they go in for the fight. And this is a big pickup for them, a big swing in the momentum that they're going to be able to build into. And you know, all this too, Domeng, he's got the Corrosive Scythe, he's got a Golden Staff working on his next, a little bit of defense too to help just in case Kyle TZ shows up. You know, he's got his pair of steel pants. And so that's all he's relying on at this point. And the fact that, again, you have your team there to help you out, keep you safe, a Revitalize or the Peel. And so Domeng will be more of a problem as the game goes on here, and that's where Super Marco needs to get to. Oh,
Okay, MJ goes right after the backline. Here comes Aurora. Frigid Blazer going to connect onto Flap TZ, plus the final slash. They're going to bring him down,
Kyle.
but here comes the counter attack coming in from Kyle TZ. He's also going to bring down Renegade. But Aurora depriving Kyle of his orange buff, really zoning out the members of Falcons AP Bren. And this is where you see Aurora shines again. The kit that they have, they're not afraid to commit a lot of ultimates just to bring down Flap TZ, because they know that they have enough damage, even though they don't have crowd control anymore.
pressure for the purple.
Okay, the pressure is here. Kyle TZ, he's not going to get his purple buff. And that's bad if you're a Fanny.
Yeah, that's tough. That's what I was saying in the beginning of the game, man, you know? If you lock in the Fanny, and there's not many junglers around the world that will pick it up still, you know, with the way the meta has kind of fallen into place. Because, yeah, you really need to rely on certain things to happen here for your team throughout the game. You're almost that 10-minute mark. Lord is now up. And honestly, FCAP might be in a position where they have to let this go.
Yeah.
It's already going to be held here. No purple buff on Kyle. There's the final slash.
Another catch, press the breeze. Flap TZ goes in with a Glory Splat Fade, paired up with the Revitalize. They want to go for the counter attack. Spear of Destruction will connect, though. A hard reset for this Lord. Now they're focusing on Ogwin. A lot of ultimates has been casted.
All right, back to it. It's reset. Edward forcing out. Super Marco does pick up a Malefic War. They might look to break out in a fight here.
Another will catch onto Few, forcing out the Crimson Peak, and here comes the AOG. Super Marco being able to free hit, but gonna get caught up by the Frigid Glacier. Ogwin, Flap TZ down. Doming and Ogwin, Edward on the charge. Want to catch Few here. There's the Lantern Flare just to zone them out, and it's gonna be an uncontested Lord take for Aurora.
I pointed it out the previous game in Game 2, and Renegade is doing it again, this time on the Gato Kacha. That spear won't land this time. He's got 10 assists, and this is why the ultimate, that Avatar of the Guardian, is so crucial, because even if Edward chooses to start a fight and FCAP tries to disengage, Renegade can always jump in. Looking at the Infinix Instant Replay, this is what I'm talking about. Able to find two members. Tanky enough as well. Unbreakable taunt towards the back so that he can unlock the passive and get that hit in, and the rest of the team collapses on. This is why the Gatakacha is so annoying to deal with for teams going against it, because he gets low enough, his passive activates and everything else, and you think you're going to kill him, and he doesn't, you know, and then that's not even with a Revitalize or not.
Yeah.
He's just that tanky and able to even pump out some damage, decent damage. So the silver lining here, though, is FCAP, Super Marco, still bulletproof, hasn't gone down yet, has been able to farm up. They got to withstand this Lord push, though, if they want to stay in this game and keep their base turrets up if they can. Because right now it looks like RORA wants to go ahead and press this one in and knock on the base of these turrets from FCAP. The Lord making its way to the top. We'll see if FCAP has enough firepower to go in for a fight here. Kyle TZ clearing out the waves to jump in.
AOG coming in from Renegade for his own. Flap TZ answers with the glorious pathway. Ogwin pops his Primal Wrath. They want to go for the counter attack. Edward with a beautiful final slash. Paired it up with the Frigid Glacier. They're going to catch Super Marco. Edward, though, quite dangerously low. He's going to fall down. But in exchange for Flap TZ and the inhibitor turret, a huge win for Aurora.
Another big win. Only Edward to go down, and goodbye again, the purple buff of Kyle TZ. You're seeing little shades of damage that Kyle TZ can do, but he can't even overextend into a fight because he could easily get taken down as well, especially with the fact that he doesn't have that purple buff. And they have to take this disciplined route. They have to be able to play into the fact that we got to also wait for Super Marco to get there. Super Marco not bulletproof anymore, did go down in that exchange. But FCAP will look to go ahead and try to recuperate the losses here. This next Lord is up in about 30 seconds or so. And knowing them, like I said, they'll continue to contest it. It doesn't matter if they're down, what is it, 6,000, 7,000 gold. They'll look to get a fight. They'll look to get an advantage in terms of the numbers here. But RORA knows it as well. They will play to the advantage, especially with UA here on this Aurora. He's been massive in winning these fights.
Oh, Edwards! Another catch, forcing out the Crimson Beacon. Kyle TZ just trying to survey the scene. Ogwin in a good position here in the brush. 7 seconds. before the next Lord spawns. And if you're Falcons AP Bren, fortunately the inhibitor that was taken away from you was on the top lane, so it's easy to manage your minion waves and at the same time try and contest. But it's gonna be hard up against a Suyo of Demon Kite.
Well, look at this. UA, RenaJ, and Edward all playing that front side. That's a Lord. Just taken out so quickly for RORA. Now once again taking the purple buff and taking everything from Falcons AP Bren, even with a jump in, just to make sure that there's no follow through. Now RORA, a big lead, a Lord. This might be that push in to get this game number 3 here under their belt.
Yeah, game number 2 was around this time, 14 minutes as well. And Super Marco has been having a hard time, although he only has 1 death. The problem is the kit of Aurora, AOG, Final Slash, Frigid Glacier stops him from being able to dish out the damage, because we've seen it. Prior to his death, he got frozen, he had to flicker out. In the second clash, he got taken down. Now the Lord marching up top.
Let's see if they can do it. There's a flicker. Now they're going to keep it together. They have to deal with the Lord here. RORA might just force a fight. Edward does have a flicker.
Oh! Okay, Spear of Destruction will connect. Now they're going to work on Flaptisi. Flaptisi has to revitalize with the Glorious Pathway. As Aurora backs away, they got what they wanted. An inhibitor in the middle lane. Now they have minions in the mid plus the bottom.
Right now, they just want to get this last base turret down. Wave pushing in. Aurora, are they going to press this team fight against FCAP here? Base completely exposed. They have a moment here. They have a choice to decide. Even with a 9,000 gold lead, do they go and take the chance? It looks like right now RORA will take the discipline route and back off for now. Ingan, we are at an interesting point in the game, almost the 16-minute mark, and so far FCAP, aside from the early game, has not been able to do too much, even with this lineup. When we look at the items, Super Marco still working on his next, maybe a BOD, but is he going to have enough? Or does he also go a defensive option? Because at this point, when you have a base completely bare, you've got to be able to win these defensive fights. You've got to be able to turn the tide here. And now if they do it for the next Lord, if they actually try to contest this in about a minute, still, we might see FCAP just get collapsed down on.
It's looking hard. I mean, Doming has an opportunity to split push here. Even if Kyle TZ manages to find him, looking at his items, he does have that Rose Gold Meteor plus Wind of Nature, so he's not going to be scared, even if Kyle TZ tries to target him, opposing the Lord side up top. And so far, Aurora, they have no reason to risk a lot because, again, they have a 9.1k gold lead. Looking at the turrets, it's almost complete.
And this is what we're talking about too. You know, RORA with their lineup, they'll just control pretty much everything on the map. Like if they want to set up around the mid lane and cut things off, they can. Nice little Queller check right there on Kyle TZ. And that's what they'll do because they can go ahead and set up almost like a triangular defense and a cutoff option with the Avatar of the Guardian. And so it's really difficult when you're looking at Falcons AP Bren lineup. You're trying to think, you know, how can they get some space to work with? How can they actually move forward? I mean, that tier 1 still stands in the mid lane for RORA. And that's where the difficult part is. They have to be so crucial and cautious in approaching certain areas of the map. Even these bush takes in the mid. And right now, Lord's going to be started up here. Domeng go ahead, whacking away on it. And they look to set things up. Kyle might actually get his purple this time around, but they got to make a choice.
Okay, Flaptisi wants to go for it. He's going to get the Glorious Pathway, but Demon Kite gets the Lord. Now the Frigid Glacier, RenaJ onto the backline. They want to go for Super Marco as Kyle TZ walks away. Super Marco still alive in exchange for RenaJ. Now they're going to get Ogwin down. Aurora just bringing down bodies. Now they're going to work on Few. Now they're going to work on Kyle TZ. Demon Kite remains alive, but he gets the Lord.
Only RenaJ down in that exchange. Ogwin and Flap for Falcons AP Bren. So they'll go in for a quick reset here. RORA gets ready to march in with this Lord. This is going to be taking a lot of finesse to pull off. Whoa! Domeng!
The next standard takes
that might have
down
done it.
Kyle TZ and Naisu. That's it. That's it. It's going to be hard for Falcons AP Bren to pull off an amazing defense. Even Domeng goes for the backline with a Spear of Destruction. They're going to bring down one more and take game 3.
RORA, what are they on? They are making the adjustments so quickly and coming out with another victory here. 2-1 right now in the series, the best of